Welcome to another episode of Redesigning Your Relationships Live. I am your host, Geovanna Burgess White, with my co-host,
the very nervous Yvette Valdenegro. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm not nervous. I'm super excited.
Oh, welcome. We're wrapping up the series. I mean, is that what we were calling it? The dating series? The
I don't
love
even
series?
love dating, the new ways, new trends, new way to be. Are you trending or tumbling? Just the new way of looking at love, romance, intimacy in marriage, dating, and all the above.
Yeah.
Or even
I love
kids that are dating right now. You kind of have to know what in the world's going on out there. And this is the latest and greatest in all the topics.
Well, and we are now live on Instagram. So thank you for your patience. If you've been watching our series the last few months, we have been really trying to get the tech so that we're live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So wherever you want to watch, that's where we are. And then you can watch or listen later on Spotify. We're exclusively on Spotify now. And everything's interactive. We loved it. The last few weeks, we've had a lot of people commenting. When you comment on any of the platforms that you're watching, we will show it up on the screen. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you're feeling. And I feel like we saved the best episode for last. And before we get started with Beyond the Swipe, this episode is sponsored by the YGC Collective. We will have a huge announcement later on today. So if you're watching live, make sure you stay tuned for the lineup for our August 19th and August 20th conference that we will be hosting. It is going to be amazing. It's the first one of a kind, really. No one's ever done it. We're bringing in women that lead organizations in Houston and actually nationwide, because we have someone flying in, two people coming in. And you'll be able to pick from 3 beautiful auditoriums. You customize your experience. It's a day to invest in you. So if you're looking for personal development, leadership, entrepreneurship, if you want to learn about nonprofits, how to give back, if you want to learn how to invest in women and investment circles, all the things. And we also have some amazing sponsors, like that's tomorrow's lineup. So stay tuned, ask us questions. Tickets are on sale. We do have a VIP night. It is only for 25 guests because we will have that for the speakers, the sponsors, our experiences, and 25 VIP guests. So if you are already interested, we've already had 3 people buy VIPs. Go in and grab those and then message us with any questions you have. So let's get started.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So like we said, we've been doing this series, and obviously we're relationship coaches, and that's the relationship that begins with yourself. And so that goes on to love and intimacy and the closest people around you. And let's just be real. It does not matter if you are 18 years old and about ready to graduate from high school. And I'm saying that conservatively because we know that people are in relationships even before that, and all the way until you leave this planet. You're interacting with people, you're in relationships, and whatever you deem your choice, however, love is changing, intimacy is changing, and romance is changing. And so I think when I started to look at all these things, it was more like what's going on in the dating scene. But as we've learned, that trends start out in the world, but then they get closer and closer to home. And we're all experiencing changes. So the whole thing with the Beyond the Swipe, that was more just like kind of catchphrase, like, that's what everybody's doing these days. And we both know, coming from the wedding industry, we saw over a 10-year period how the people that were getting married went from they met in school and in work and family to they met at school. And then primarily right now, the number one way that people are meeting are online. So it just shows that trends happen, changes happen, and love and intimacy and relationships and being independent is changing. And last episode, we talked about how, being more independent and what that really means for yourself. Maybe it's 2 episodes ago, and how that's changing everything. But so it all kind of intertwines with the more that people are focusing in on self-love, self-care, and opening up their minds and their hearts to say, what do they really want? We're seeing that transpire in the relationships now. So this is where kind of all the trails went into, all right, what's really happening in the world of love now, and the trends that are happening that I think the reason I was kind of nervous today talking about this is because it is new. And whenever you talk about more intimate topics, it's not that it's embarrassing, but let's just be real. We don't have platforms and conversations about these things to make it comfortable. There's nothing embarrassing about it. It's just that we don't have avenues to really just go, hey, this is happening. Because I'm here on this planet because my mom and dad decided they wanted to have a child and they were intimate. Oh my God, there's nothing to be shameful in that. But for some weird reason, we make it the most embarrassing thing on the planet.
Money and sex, you guys. We have a hard time talking about it, but we're here to help you. So it may feel uncomfortable, but we're going to do it anyway. So,
Yes.
all right. So, top 5 trends on the rise, and we're going to go through these all. And if you're watching for the first time, like I said, welcome. Go back and watch the series because it's a lot of fun. Again, there's connections and it intertwines, but just kind of go back to see where you fall in any of these topics. So, number 1, we're going to talk about emotionally feral. Number 2, parallel play. Number 3, living apart together. And number 4, sex re-education. Loving that. And number 5, which we teased a little bit last week, is audio arousal. So, start.
Exactly. So if you just listened to all that and went, huh? Then that's the reason to keep listening. Okay, emotional feral. Well, the feral part kind of caught me off guard because I'm, what do you mean? Just the whole thought of like being wild, but more, I think it's more wild in the acceptance of outside the box, not traditional, and just being a little bit different. Because again, if we're all working to being the truest versions of ourselves and we're very into the whole aspect of emotional security, which is this is based on, then it goes into the wildness of, instead of looking at someone physically and being physically taken care of or physically attracted, or everything's about the physical part of it, it's completely done a 180. And the most important things to people right now when they're looking at someone to date is their emotional intelligence and their emotional connectivity and their emotional well-being all around. So it's no longer, which, let's just be real, when you're in a bar scenario or you're at the grocery store, you're walking down the street, or someone introduces you to someone at an event, you're a human being. You say to yourself, oh, attractive person, not attractive person. And then it's your choice if you want to take it further from there. But we do that. But I don't think that's ever going to go away. The first time you see someone, you're obviously seeing them with all 5 senses, but your eyes are the ones that are captivated or not captivated on the person. And then enters in whatever it is that you're, I don't know if I want to say standards, but whatever it is that you feel that you're looking for. And being emotionally connected to someone is super, super high on the list. Or I should say 32% of all people. That this is okay. I can guarantee you, when we were starting out, the two of us, and we were working with engaged couples, this was not on the radar at all. And to see that it's come up to even 32% makes me so happy, because when you're connected with someone emotionally, that is a whole game changer, because I feel like our world wants and needs to feel connected, accepted, understood, heard, loved, cared for, all those things that really make or break a relationship. If you're already a part of the 32%, you've already taken leaps and bounds to having a successful relationship.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. I love the statistics. You know us, we're all about the statistics. Parallel playtime. This one's fun. I love the play on words, literally. Term used for children's play, but parallel play is the idea of individuals can pursue their own interests, hobbies, and activities independently while still being in a relationship. Man, I just had this conversation with my 18-year-old because they're going to college, and they're going to college together but separate because 2 different majors, 2 different minors. But just being able to have your own groups of friends, do your own things, and not feel like you always have to do stuff together. And then this one is both partners maintain a sense of individuality and have their own lives, interests, and social circles. See, I'm spitting out facts before we even did this episode. This independence and autonomy contribute to a well-rounded and fulfilling relationship, allowing the individual to grow personally while sharing a life together. And this was not in, honestly, even how I was brought up, how my parents were brought up, how my grandparents were brought up. So again, all of these new generations, and after COVID and this like huge movement on mental health and self-love, which we've talked about in the past, it's all like trickling down to the other relationships in your life. So I love that.
I don't know if we ever did this, and obviously there's some years between us, but I remember when I was in my, let's just say in college and early 20s, my thought process of finding someone to spend my life with, well, first of all, that was the thing. It's
Right.
like, well, your path and your journey is, oh, okay, well, now you've done these steps. Now the next step is find someone to have a life with, right? I never thought of like parallel playtime. It was more like, who would be a good match to do everything with me?
Right.
Like, and I do mean everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, this parallel play is, of course, you're going to have common denominators. Of course, you're going to want to have things that you want to do together. But there's nothing wrong with, and you can see in the pictures, you're in the same house. One of you may be painting and doing something completely different, and the other one's in the kitchen doing what they love, learning how to make something new. So you're still together, obviously, but you're doing something completely different that is satisfying and nurturing to who you are, instead of we have to do everything together
Yeah.
at the same time all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I think it's great. And for people who are watching who are like, oh, it's not going to work for me. I've already been in my marriage for over 10 years and my marriage for over 20 years. We hope that these episodes and the conversations that we have help you open the door, because it does need to happen in order to have a balanced relationship, and also for, again, the growth. If not, you're just going to stay in the same place. And that's not something that you want to have. Or when your kids leave, this happens with our clients. It's like that sense of like, now what? And you don't want to always just count on your partner, because that's not their job. Their job is not to fulfill your emotional needs and what you want. It's really up to you. And so other examples that we have here, because I love the pictures here, reading, working out, crafting, podcast, traveling. That's a big one. You guys don't always have to travel together. If you'll follow me, you know that that's the truth. But it's just important having your group of friends. Sometimes, you know how hard it is to find couple friends, like couple friends that are on the same. It's so hard. It's either like, I mean, we do have a few, but it was hard to get there. And also, like, sometimes you like the other person's partner, but your partner doesn't like them, and it's like this whole thing is like, oh, I don't want to go, or then you're like doing separate. So really, just know that this is kind of like opening the door for you to have these conversations, and also to start thinking like, what do I want to do? Most people don't even have these types of hobbies, so put a list together. There may be some stuff you have in common, but there's going to be stuff that you guys can be doing at the same time, which leads us into.
Well, I was going to say back on the other one, I was just running through my mind. That would also be if someone's struggling in their relationship and you're trying to figure out like let's say a couple never spends time together. Let's say they're just so engrossed in their separate lives, like the opposite, or that there've been strife and they've talked about that they want to try to do things together, but it's just still kind of edgy. Parallel playtime would be a really great time to be like, we're going to be in the same space, but we're going to be doing something different. And even what you just said, like podcasts or reading a book. I mean, think about it. You're reading two separate books, but you're staying on the same sofa. So then you're kind of sitting next to. So I know it's kind of crazy to think of, but it's really kind of a non-threatening way to be spending time together for maybe a couple there's been that strife.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at it from all different positions. No pun intended. Okay. Living apart together. I think my generation is making this one, and the younger people. I think that because for whatever goes on in life, you're more independent, you're on your own, and even the younger generations, man, they're moving and shaking, and they got so much stuff going on. So the thought of that you're living apart together. So two people who are in a committed relationship are now living in separate dwellings, but they're absolutely positively 100% committed to being in their relationship, which again makes me go, ooh, like, like this is weird and different. But I completely get the concept, because after a lot of years of being your own independent person, the thought of like, wait a minute, we're going to be in the same space. We're going to be sharing the same things. For some people, that can be very overwhelming. And for, and again, for some people that can be like, I function better. I get more stuff done. I'm more committed to my job or whatever it is. And then the special time of now we're coming together, and it seems it kind of keeps that little flare going too. It's like you're not always in each other's spaces. But I thought an interesting statistic with this in 2022, they did a statistic that I think was 3.89 million people are already doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't new.
So it's just now getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that these people started going against the grain of what society is saying. Oh, you're in a relationship, you just automatically live together. Well, says who?
Yeah, and it gives,
all that kind of stuff is dependent on the situation.
It gives people time to kind of like try to stay at each other's homes, do like a weekend together, do a week together, and it's like really figure that out. Because a lot of times, and we saw this when we were in the wedding industry, people would move in and it was this drastic change of like, I was independent, I had my things together, and it wasn't working out, and that's okay. But it's a lot harder when you're engaged and getting married versus, hey, everyone's an adult here, let's figure it out, and if it doesn't work, like, no bad intention, we tried it. So
Yeah.
all right, sex re-education. I love it. It's all about the connection. So high quality sex education for adults in a particular easy to apply way. First of all, I love that we're talking about this because it's really hard for people to talk about. I don't know about the younger generation, but I feel like they're a little more open about it. But I know
have you ever been somewhere, like, listen, think of the last time you're somewhere and you just say the word sex, and it's like people are almost like, you just said that. Okay. Actually, one of our clients recently told us, remember what,
yes.
that if you put certain terms, sex being one of them, in a title, in a blog, in something that you've written, the algorithm and Google automatically bring it to the top, because this is truly what people are looking for and searching, which makes me laugh. So the very thing that people are wondering about, sex, is the number one thing we don't talk about.
Yeah. And it's all about connection, which we talked about at the beginning, but it's really, truly about the connection. And even if your love language isn't personal, this is different. This is completely different than personal touch. Sex is part of being in a relationship. And also, if you're not comfortable talking about it, understanding what it is that you want, how are you going to explain that to your partner? This is going back to like the guessing game. They cannot guess. Who defines sexual health as a state of physical, emotion, mental, and social well-being in a relationship to sexuality? It is not merely absence of disease, dysfunction, or infirmity. Oof. And it deepens your pleasure and as well as elevating intimacy with your partner. So this is a whole section that gets left off of the conversations and growing your relationships. It's also in the top 3 reasons why people get divorced: money, sex, communication. Like that statistic has not changed. That's when we were relationship coaches in the wedding industry with engaged couples to now. Infidelity, it's a thing. And why do you think people are being like that? Because they're not having conversations, and they're not having intimate relationships, and they're not re-educating themselves as they grow. Things change. You change. The way you want to do things changes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I was going to say with that, other than, again, if you were struggling in any way, there is a .com. It's B as in the letter B, educated.com. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer. Do not put that up on your screen if you have little kids around, because the minute you go onto that website, it definitely gives you different examples of things that they're talking about. And again, I understand that it may be embarrassing. You may feel like, okay, I don't really feel comfortable with this. I also think it's also nice to have an adult version of sex education outside of what we learned in high school or what you read in magazines, that can be more of a like a elevated discussion or resource that you can go to say, I have questions, or I'm wondering, or how-tos. And maybe you're like, I don't have anybody to connect with or talk to, but I do want to discover more or bring some of this material into an intimate relationship. and kind of open up that avenue. It seemed to be that way. Again, I didn't do a deep dive into it, but I thought, okay, this is mature education. This
Yep.
is for the mature person that can handle it and go, I get what this is for. And ultimately, like you just said, if people's ideas of sex is not like, and I'm just talking freely, like I'm thinking of myself and I just want myself to feel good. That is really selfish thinking, and you're not thinking about your other partner. But when you flip that switch and it becomes more of a, I want to connect with them and I want to feel and experience them in a level that is really only for the two of us and really have a level of love, it that kind of goes out the door. And then you think of it like it's like more of a okay, it's kind of like if you want to go travel and you've never been to that place before, you're like, well, I'm going to go to Google and start, well, I want to go here. What are the foods? What are the places I should go to? What are my experiences? What are the best hotels? Whatever. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's no different. And it makes me sad that we live in a society that does put that shame on being a sexually active person when it's such a God-given, wonderful experience.
And this goes back to also there's podcasts that you can listen to, there's books that you can read, and then you can share that information with your partner if you're not comfortable talking about it. But you find something that you connect with, that's a great way to go even back to like the parallel playtime. Which leads us to our last one, which is the audio arousal. Loving this. This was like new for
This
us.
is super new. And you know who it was created by? Women.
I
This
love it.
whole platform, it's wait, where is it? It's Dipsea. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Dipsea. It's a new platform, a new genre of audio storytelling that's immersive, imaginative, and intimate. So again, think about the people who are on audiobooks, podcasts. This is just another way you can put headsets, the two of you can share it together, listen at the same time. And it's just another way of experiencing pleasure.
Yeah.
I've not done it yet, but it seems very intriguing.
The words that came to this was confident, joyful, alive, and back to the connection piece, right? And not feeling uncomfortable, because the whole point of this episode too was to help you get to the feeling of not being uncomfortable when having these conversations, because it is part of a relationship. And you put it here, it was the women-led producers and engineers who were obsessed with making the very best audio romance. They partnered with an incredible network of top-tier narrators and writers to guarantee every single story. So again, it's like we're learning new things when we do these episodes. People ask us all the time, like, is it a certain topic? No. Right now we do mini series every month. It's a mini series. This is kind of a mini series on the dating, self-love, like trends. We talk about all relationships, and this mini series kind of talked about the relationship with self, the relationship with the partner that you're looking for, and it can also just be relationships in your parents' life, your kids' life. So it's just relationships all together. So we hope that helps you, because that's what we're here for, and we're always looking for, you know, topics that you want us to research, because we do our research. We love statistics, we love facts. So anything that you want to learn about, hear about, and if it's your first time watching or listening, we have over, God, I don't even know, 300 episodes, maybe 400 episodes at this point. Go back. Again, we're exclusively on Spotify, and just look at what titles like talk to you, because we have boundaries series, we have relationship with your business, relationship with your partner, like all the things. And so if there's something that you need from us, you can also message us. We do complimentary consultations where you jump online with us and we talk to you, we do an assessment, and we let you just hear the things that you need.
And I want to say, if you happen to go on beeducated.com or this Dipsea and you do a deep dive into it, I would love to hear what your thoughts were, what you think, and maybe something that we can share. If anybody feels comfortable about sharing it on our platforms, then let us know, because the more we all learn, the more we know, that's how we all learn.
Yep. And remember, we are exclusively on Spotify. There is always the poll and the question feature at the end. So you can do it through Spotify, or you can do it at the replay on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube. So thanks for watching us. We'll be on again next week. And if you are watching live, stay tuned today, because we're going to be doing some announcements on social media. Until next week.